What's going on, guys? It's Toasty here, and baseball is back. Yes! God, I've been waiting for this day for so long. No more lockout BS. We can look forward to long balls and strikeouts, baby. I got you covered right now. We're going to go through every team in Major League Baseball very fast, their season win total, over, under, some of the guys to look at on their rosters as well. Let's go.
Welcome to the source. The source. Hey, get the source.
All right, guys, next team up is going to be the Arizona Diamondbacks. DraftKings has their season win total set at 66.5, and it's a pass for me. Again, nothing to love about this team. There's no question about that. The rotation, as far as that goes, Madison Bumgarner, Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, and Luke Weaver. Again, in their bullpen, nothing very special. Their batting order, they do got a Marte Parte and Ketel Marte leading it off. Darton Varasho, Josh Rojas. Again, I don't really want to get involved with him. Same with Pittsburgh and all those other bad teams. I don't really like them that much. I don't want to have them in my portfolio. It's under or pass for a team like the Diamondbacks. Next team up is the Colorado Rockies. DraftKings has their season win total set at 68.5, and I did play the under on this team. I don't understand this team. They went and signed guys like CJ Cron back. They got Chris Bryant, but at the same time, their rotation is lacking, to say the least. Marquez, Freeland, Sensatella, Gomber, all guys, again, that seem to do okay in Coors Field, but just get rocked outside. It's just hard to get this team to win 70 games. They don't have really anybody in the bullpen that I really like. And as far as the batting order concerns, I'm sure our batting order goes, I'm sure Chris Bryant will do just fine. I don't know how fantasy relevant he's going to be. Connor Joe, Brendan Rodgers, Charlie Blackmon. I mean, how long can Charlie Blackmon really be that good? Again, this isn't a bash on Charlie Blackmon, but there's just so many other options that I would like than Charlie Blackmon on my team. CJ Cron, Ryan McMahon, again, nothing to sneeze at. I'm playing this team under. I don't trust them. I think they actually had a better year last year than they should have. They won 74 games last year. I don't think they get anywhere close to that. I think this is around a 60, 65 win ball club. So give me 68.5. Give me the under on the Colorado Rockies. Next team up is the Los Angeles Dodgers. DraftKings has their season win total set at 97.5 wins. Whew! They won 106 games last year. They didn't get worse, I can tell you that. Maybe they didn't get a lot better, but they didn't really get that much worse. If you take a look at their rotation, man, Walker Buehler, Julio Urias, Andrew Heaney. Tony Gonsolin is a very good pitcher, guys. I know that he looks funny. He's got the long hair. He's got a weird leg kick or whatever, but he's solid. He's definitely somebody that I do want on my pitching staff as a fantasy manager. And the same with Julio Urias. I think that he is going to continue to get better. He's going to stack up wins and pitch late into ball games. They got guys like David Price in the bullpen that could probably start as well. Blake Triton, Alex Vesia, Brewster Grotto, who throws like 150 miles an hour, but not really, but holy cow, that guy doesn't even act like he's moving and it hits 103. And then the lineup, I mean, just absolutely stacked. Trey Turner, Mookie Betts, Max Muncy, Justin Turner, Will Smith, AJ Pollock, Cody Bellinger, Gavin Lux, and the list goes on and on and on. And if they need more, they will get more at the deadline. It's the only way to play the Dodgers is over. I didn't touch it, but only way to look at it is over 97.5. Next team up is the San Diego Padres. San Diego Padres, DraftKings has their season win total at 88.5. And it kills me to say this because I'm kind of a Padres fan too, but I have to play the under. Under. Tatis is out. I think he's the energy of that team. And if you take a look at the rotation, You got Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, and Joe Musgrove as the top 3 guys. Solid guys, but I don't really know what to get from Blake Snell. I think that if you were to get him later in fantasy drafts, he can rack up the strikeouts, so that could be nice for you. Darvish might be a little bit of a sleeper, but again, now that Tatis is gone, that lineup doesn't look nearly as good as it once did. I mean, you take Tatis out, you go from Grisham to Machado to Cronenworth to Myers to Hosmer, Jerks and Profar. He's just the straw that stirs the drink. So with him being gone, and I don't know how long he's going to be gone for, it's an easy play for me under 88.5 wins for the San Diego Padres. Next team up, we got the San Francisco Giants. Holy cow, the Giants' magical season last year. 107 wins for the San Francisco Giants. So what does DraftKings say? They're going to throw it up at 85.5. I would play under if I had to play it. It's not in the bets that I've made. God, I don't want to bet against this team anymore. I wasn't a fan of theirs last year. I was one of those people that said I didn't think it was going to work or last that long, but they continue to prove me wrong. The rotation, Logan Webb, Anthony Desclafani, Alex Wood, Alex Cobb. If Webb and Desclafani can replicate the seasons that they had last year, the Giants are going to be all right. Because I think with the batting order with La Stella, Belt, Ruff, Crawford, Lamont Wade, Longoria's hurt, but with Yastrzemski as well. I do think that they would probably add something as well. It's just hard for me to see them with the Dodgers in that division as well. It's a pass for me, but if they start winning games, I would definitely take a look at betting it in season, because it's going to be how well Logan Webb and Desclafani play for me, and that's how far this Giants team will go. All right, next team we're going to take a look at, guys, is the Atlanta Braves. DraftKings has their season win total set at 91.5 wins. I only would play it over. I didn't play it myself personally, but the only way I would look at it is over. They're just loaded, man. I mean, look, they lost Freddie Freeman. Yeah, I get that. But then they bring in a younger guy that's coming into a better ballpark in Matt Olson. They got Ronald Acuna that should be coming back. Ozzie Albies, Austin. All I do is rake Riley. Watch him in fantasy. I love Austin Riley. Adam Duvall. I played his RBI prop under because I just don't think he's going to have the same success again. Travis d'Arnaud, Dansby Swanson, all those guys coming back from the World Series. Again, they're going to be solid, and especially with that experience under their belt, only brings good things to Atlanta. The pitching staff, Max Fried, stud. Ian Anderson, stud. Charlie Morton, big game stud. I mean, let's just call it what it is. The bullpen, Will Smith, Tyler Matzik, Luke Jackson, AJ Minter, Sean Newcomb, Jay Jackson, Dylan Lee, Oscar Anoya. Look, this team's loaded. This team is loaded. I just don't want to get involved with their season win total at such a high number. I don't have as much of a read with Acuna coming back and all that stuff. But again, the only way to look at it from my perspective is over. Next team up is one of my favorite teams to watch, the Miami Marlins, baby. DraftKings has their season win total set at 76.5 wins. It's a pass for me. I would look over before I would look under, and that's not just the fan in me. Look, they have, the pitching is what they have. There's no question about that. Starting off, Sandy Alcantara, absolute beast. If you don't know him, if you follow this channel, you probably know him because, as the Sauce said, I get a hard on talking about the guy. I love him. He's been a stud. I followed him his whole career. Pablo Lopez, Trevor Rogers, Jesus Luzardo. All studs, man. Hernandez is another kid that's up and coming, flamethrower. Their bullpen was Florio, Bender, Bass, and all guys that are solid pieces. They just don't have a lot of bats. Now, Miguel Rojas, Jazz Chisholm, Jesus Aguilar are all good pieces, but they did bring in Jorge Soler, who had a home run against the Houston Astros. I still don't think has landed yet. From all reports, I can't confirm that, but I do not think it has landed yet. And they have some young guys in Brian Anderson. Joey Wendell's not young, but they have some young guys that are coming up as well. Sixto Sanchez is a pitcher as well that he's definitely had his ups and downs. He threw at some guys last year. There's some weird things about that. But again, solid pitching everywhere up and down this roster. Again, It would be an over before it would be an under for me in the Miami Marlins. The New York Mets, baby. DraftKings has their season win total set at 88.5 wins. I passed because I'm not sure how well Jacob deGrom is going to do. There's already some rumblings he's going to miss the first month of the season. But again, if you look at that rotation without him, you still have Max Scherzer, stud, Taijuan Walker, all-star. The first half of the year fell off, but again, has the talent. He should be doing better this year, I would assume so. Carlos Carrasco and David Peterson. David Peterson's actually not that bad of a guy, especially as your fifth starter. The bullpen with Edwin Diaz, Trevor Mays, Seth Lugo, Drew Smith, Tyler McGill, another young kid that could start as well. So the pieces are definitely there. You got a Marte Parte, which is, hey, you gotta love that with Starling Marte, Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Lindor, the Polar Bear, Pete Alonso hitting boppers out of there. So a lot to like, a lot of excitement in Metland. I see it. I don't want to get in front of that season win total, but I definitely would be a team to look at for me, especially because if they start slow, maybe get a good price for them to win the division when DeGrom comes back and whatnot, but something to look at. But again, as far as the season win total at 88.5, it's a pass or under for me. Next team up is the Philadelphia Phillies. DraftKings has their season win total set at 85.5. I did not play this one, but I would definitely lean under before over. Again, it's the pitching staff. Again, Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, Aaron Nola, solid, okay guys, but I mean, I guess Nola and Wheeler could be aces, maybe, I don't know. Not if you really ask me. The bullpen is bad, really bad. Last year, I mean, you couldn't play a full game Phillies game. You had to play them first five if you were going to play them because the bullpen was just so god awful. As far as the lineup, I mean, they've got some boppers. Jane Segura I like, Bryce Harper, Rhys Hopkins, JT Realmuto as a catcher. I do like him in fantasy, especially from a catcher spot where it's so hard to solidify that position. He can give you power. He can give you speed. So JT Realmuto is one guy to watch as far as fantasy as well. But it's the Phillies as a whole. 85.5 is a pass for me. Next team up is the Washington Nationals. DraftKings has their season win total set at 71.5. And I do have a bet on this one. I am betting it under. Look, again, no pitching. Steven Strasburg, yep, he's good, but again, he's injured all the time. I don't know what to expect from him. Patrick Corbin, Josiah Gray, Joe Ross, Eric Fetty round out the rotation. The only person that I even somewhat like is Josiah Gray. He's a flamethrower, but he's very up and down. Nothing in the bullpen, and the only thing in the lineup is Juan Soto. So if you can get Soto in the fantasy drafts decent, I wouldn't take him super high. And the only reason is because I don't know how many opportunities he's going to have to run or to bat guys in. I mean, I'm sure he's going to get on base and he's going to slug well, but as far as getting guys in and guys being on base when he's hitting homers, I'm not sure about that. So the Washington Nationals, though, definitely under 71.5 wins. All right, guys, next team up is going to be Chicago Cubs. DraftKings has their season win total set at 75.5 wins. I actually think they might be a little bit better than they were last year. I'm not going to touch the season win total. Taking a look at their rotation, they did get Marcus Stroman from the Mets. I really like him. I think he's going to fit well in Chicago. They also have Kyle Hendricks that should be able to get a couple wins for you. But again, nothing really as far as fantasy relevance. Batting order, Ortega, Schwindel, Happ, Contreras, Patrick Wisdom is the only person on there that might get some play as far as fantasy. I don't know, but he is a third baseman that has a little bit of power. The fans really seem to like him in Wrigley. But as far as the Cubs in general, just nah, at 75.5, it's a pass or under for me. Next team up is the Cincinnati Reds, and I do have a bet on the Cincinnati Reds. DraftKings has their season win total set at 74.5. I played it under. Yes, I play a lot of unders. But look, this team is pretty much given up. They were a pretty decent team last year. They had a Rookie of the Year in Jonathan India, and then they just gave everything away. Winker's gone. Suarez is gone. Sonny Gray's gone. They're just, I don't know what they're doing in Kansas City in Cincinnati, to be dead honest with you. They don't have any good pitching. Luis Castillo, he's got talent. I'm not going to knock on the guy, but at the same time, again, he's up and down. And he's not somebody that I'm definitely going to put my money on to be a solid spot in any rotation. Tyler Mahle can't seem to pitch consistently. His home road splits are just weird. Gutierrez is another guy that I just don't trust. He can look very good at sometimes, and then he looks like a minor leaguer at other times. So yeah, I just think the Cincinnati Reds are punting on the season. Under. I did bet it under 74.5 for the Cincinnati Reds. Another team I do have a bet on, and that is the Milwaukee Brewers, but it's not an under. We're going up and over, baby. Over. DraftKings has the season win total set at 89.5, and it's an over, man. This team is absolutely loaded. Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, Freddie Peralta, Adrian Hauser. That's your top 4 arms. Holy cow. All 4, well, 3 of them are aces. Hauser's not an ace, but Peralta has ace stuff. Corbin Burns is a Cy Young winner. Woodruff could be an ace on most teams. In the bullpen, they got Hader, Devin Williams, Brent Sutter. I mean, it's just Jake Cousins. I mean, it's just up and down littered with arms. And then you go to their lineup. Willie Adames, Hunter Renfroe, Rowdy Tellez, Luis Urias, another third baseman that I think that could have a good year. And then Christian Yelich. Look, I understand that he hasn't been the Christian Yelich that we know and love the past couple of years, but I truly believe that he could have a better season than he has the last couple of years this year. I really like this team. I think that they're going to be able to rely on those arms with Burns and Woodruff and Peralta and Hauser. I think they're going to eat up innings. I think their bullpen's going to be able to do damage. Over 89.5 wins for the Milwaukee Brewers for me. Next team up is the Pittsburgh Pirates, man. DraftKings has their season win total set at 65.5. It's not a team I'm going to be watching much. If they're playing a team that I think they're going to get smashed, though I might be betting them. Not much to look at. Jose Quintana, JT Brubaker, Zach Thompson, their top 3 starters. None of them very good. As far as the bullpen, nothing screams at me. I really don't even know half the guys listed on this. Key Brian Hayes, Brian Reynolds, Ben Gamble, Cole Tucker, some of the names in that lineup. Again, nothing to even want to go watch even on the television. So again, it's under or pass for me. I just don't want to have anything to do with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The next team up, we have the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals. The DraftKings has their season win total set at 89.5 wins. I had a pass on this one because I just don't know. The Cardinals are kind of like the Rays to me. I mean, they've done it differently and they've done it for much longer, but they just seem to always be good. And it doesn't really matter what happens, just the Cardinals are good. I mean, last year they were okay, and then they won like 20-some games in a row, and they were the hottest team in baseball. And it's just, and no one really was surprised by it, I guess, because it just seems to do what the Cardinals do. And as far as the rotation, they have a guy like Adam Wainwright who's going to go out there and get you wins. He's a solid starter. There's no question about that, especially a veteran presence that can help the younger guys like Mikolas and Hudson and Matz. But the guy that you have to watch is Jack Flaherty. He can be an ace. If he can stay healthy, that can really help this Cardinals team. As far as the bullpen, Giovanni Gallegos, Alex Reyes, Jordan Hicks, TJ McFarland, all solid guys. Nothing crazy good, but again, solid guys. Take a look at the batting order. Tommy Edman, Paul Goldschmidt, Tyler O'Neill. Tyler O'Neill, one guy, will stop there. Left fielder, I think that he could have a breakout year. All of his underlying metrics seem to say he's been a little bit unlucky at times. I think that he can hit the ball pretty well this year. I think being surrounded by guys like Goldie and Arenado, I think that he could be definitely somebody that could help you win your leagues this year. Dylan Carlson, Paul DeYoung, and Yachty, Harrison Bader, Speed Bader. So again, solid lineup. There's no really super weakness to this team. That's obviously why they're have to win 90 games for it to be go over on their season win total. It's a pass for me on those St. Louis Cardinals, but just be careful because they're always around. They're always in contention. All right, next team up we're going to take a look at is the Houston Astros. DraftKings has their season win total set at 91.5. I did take a pass on this one. I would play over before I played under. The Astros just win, man. There's no question about that. Let's take a look at their rotation. Justin Verlander will be back for them. Looks decent during the spring. Lance McCullers got injured a little bit during the postseason run, but I do think that he'll be fine this year. My favorite, Framber Valdez, just nasty stuff. And Luis Garcia and their bullpen, Ryan Presley, Stanek, Maton, Christian Javier, all those guys that are solid, that have playoff experience as well. And then if you take a look at the batting order, Altuve, Brantley, Bregman, Alvarez, Gurriel, Tucker, up and down the lineup, again, with power. They're one of the best teams in the league. I think they're going to be a playoff team. 91.5 wins is just going to be a lot, because I do think that the teams like the Angels and the Mariners are better in that division. So I do think they're going to be a contending team, but I don't want to get involved with that season win total at 91.5. Next team up is the Los Angeles Angels. DraftKings has their season win total set at 83.5. Again, I passed on this one. This one's really hard. Again, it's the division. It's the division that they play in. They got guys like Ohtani. There's no question about that. Their rotation, if healthy, could be very good. Noah Syndergaard, we don't know what we're going to get out of him. We assume that he's healthy, but we don't know. He hasn't been shown us that he's been able to stay healthy. But if he does, you have Syndergaard, Shohei Ohtani, and Patrick Sandoval as your three. Now, Sandoval's not that great, but he's decent. The bullpen needs some help a little bit, but Iglesias and Loop should be able to keep them in games. And then the lineup, Fletcher, Trout, Ohtani, Rendon, Jared Walsh, Joe Adell, Max Stassi, who's a hard-hitting catcher. Talented young lineup, no question. Again, it's going to be a health thing. Does Anthony Rendon stay healthy? If Rendon's healthy and Trout's healthy, that's two huge bats in a lineup that really needed a lot of help last year. So again, at 83.5, I'm definitely going to have to stay away, but they're going to be a team to watch for me for sure. Oh man, next team up, Oakland Athletics. DraftKings has their season win total set at 70.5. I played it under. I think it was like 75 to start. It got bet way down, and it's easy. They got rid of everybody, man. They sent Chris Bassett over to the Mets. They sent Matt Chapman to Toronto. They didn't sign a whole bunch of their guys back. I mean, now Matt Olson is gone. Now you're looking at guys like Ramon Laureano and Elvis Andrews and Seth Brown and Sean Murphy and Chad Pinder. You still have Sean Manaea, you still have Frankie Montas, but I don't know how long those guys are going to stay there. You might get one of those two to stay. I just think it's going to be a long year for Oakland, so I'm definitely playing the under. I don't care if it's 65.5. I don't think they're going to win very many games, but for all intents and purposes, under 70.5 wins for the Oakland Athletics. Here's one that we like. The Seattle Mariners up next. DraftKings has their season win total set at 83.5. It's been bet up a little bit, but I'm still playing it over at that number. I like this team. I think that they believe. I think that last year not making it to the playoffs kept them hungry, and I really like this. I mean, they got the rotation with a former Cy Young or reigning Cy Young winner, and Robbie Ray. Marco Gonzalez, Chris Flexen, and Logan Gilbert, Justice Sheffield round out the lineup. And look, those guys are solid pieces. Logan Gilbert played very well last year up at times. Marco Gonzalez is a guy that's from Gonzaga that, again, pitched well at times. The lineup with J.P. Crawford and Ty France. They got Jesse Winker and Suarez. They've got one of the best prospects in baseball in Rodriguez. A lot to like. Jared Kelnick's a kid that came up that did a lot of good things last year. Abraham Toro they got from the Astros in a trade that can play a lot of different positions. Again, I really like this Mariners team. I have them making the playoffs. I picked them to win this division as a long shot. I don't know what the odds are in front of me, but again, over 83.5 wins for the Seattle Mariners team. Next team up is the Texas Rangers. DraftKings has their season win total set at 74.5, and you say, Toasty, what are you talking about? They just went and spent like $500 million on Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. Yeah, they did. I still don't trust the rotation. It's all about pitching in this league for me. John Gray, Dane Dunning, Kobe Allard, Spencer Howard, and a whole bunch of guys in the pen that don't mean nothing to me. The lineup's great. Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, Nathaniel Lowe, Adolis Garcia. If you don't know who Adolis Garcia is, watch him. He's yoked. Love watching that outfielder. Nick Solak, Josh Young, Willie Calhoun, rounding out some of the lineup. Again, great at the top. I don't really know how well that new Texas Park is going to serve those hitters. They got their money. But as far as me at 74.5, there's only one way to look at this besides passing, and that would be under. All right, the next team we're going to take a look at is the Chicago White Sox. DraftKings has their season win total pretty high, 91.5 wins. It's a pass for me, but this team is loaded. The rotation, Lucas Giolito, Lance Lynn, Dylan Cease, Dallas Keuchel's there as a veteran to eat up innings. Michael Kopech is just an absolute stud that just throws flames all over every single day. It's so fun to watch that kid pitch, man. Dylan Cease is the one guy in fantasy that I like. He's a strikeout guy, and I do think that he's going to rack up some wins this year. And as far as the lineup, Tim Anderson, Juan Moncada, my favorite, Luis Robert. He's the guy that I'd want to target in fantasy. I think that if he stays healthy, he could have a big year. Jose Abreu, I think he's in a contract year, so he might have a little bit of value. At the same time, Yasmani Grandal, Eloy Jimenez, Gavin Sheets, Andrew Vaughn, all power. If you can get, especially a guy like Andrew Vaughn, late in rounds, if they were to happen to have an injury or something in that outfield, he could have a big year as far as fantasy is concerned. So, but as far as the White Sox and that 91.5 season win total, it's a pass for me. Next team up is the Cleveland Guardians. DraftKings has their season win total set at 76.5. It's going to be a pass for me. They could be a sneaky over team, but again, there's somebody else in this division that I like a lot more that's not named the White Sox. The rotation, Shane Bieber's one of those guys that I think that if you could get him in the third round and you paired him with a Corbin Burns or a Walker Buehler or one of the topper guys, as far as pitchers are concerned, you would have a really good 1-2 punch to start out in fantasy that could give you an advantage. Also, Aaron Savali, Zach Plesac, Cal Contrell, guys, solid starters. Nothing super that's going to get me going as far as fantasy. But Tristan McKenzie is a guy that was up and down last year. He ended up going down to the minors, got back up, and when he came back up, he was unhittable for like 7 games. A lot of the guys, especially in Major League Baseball, listen to the podcast, have a lot of good things to say about him, say his stuff is just absolutely nasty. So Tristan McKenzie, tall, lanky kid, I think is worth a spot on your fantasy roster. I think that he could have a special year this year. The team that I love in this division, baby, the Detroit Tigers. DraftKings has their season win total set at 77.5. Over! Yo, I love it. Listen to this lineup. Before we get to the pitching, listen to this lineup. Akil Baddoo, Robbie Grossman, Javi Baez, Jameer Candelario, Jonathan Scoop, Miguel Cabrera's hitting down in the bottom of the lineup. Are you kidding me? I love it. I love it. Derek Hill, Tucker Barnhart. Yo, man, I understand that these guys aren't huge name guys, but they are solid pieces that are playing great baseball. They played fantastic baseball. After the first, month of the season, this team played fantastic. I can't say enough about them. They went and got out Erod from Boston, who's now going to come in a, let's just face it, Fenway Park is not a park where pitchers can pad their stats in. I'm not saying that Comerica is, but it's a lot better than being in Boston. On top of that, you got guys like Casey Mize and Tariq Skubal that are young, up-and-coming stars that I really think that could have big years this year. I have completely bought in with the Detroit Tigers this year. Let's go, baby. Over. 77.5 wins for the Detroit Tigers. Next team up is the Kansas City Royals. DraftKings has their season win total set at 74.5. It's a pass or an under for me. There's no question about it. They got Salvi Perez and Whit Merrifield. Those are the two guys as far as fantasy relevance, depending on where you get them. But I wouldn't take Salvi super high. I understand he had a great year last year, and I love the guy, but to do it 2 years in a row at that age and that position, keep in mind he's a catcher that usually never misses a game. So, again, it's just something that you don't want to bank on, at least for me personally. Their rotation, Mike Minor, Brad Keller, Chris Bubik, Brady Singer. Nothing that really gets you going. I think the White Sox, the Twins, and the Tigers are really going to beat up on this team. I think they're a year or two out. They do have Bobby Witt coming in, who's one of the best prospects in baseball. He should be fun to watch. But as far as their season win total, it's a pass at 74.5. And if I had to take a lean, it would definitely be to the under. Next team up is the Minnesota Twins. Now, DraftKings has their season win total set at 81.5. I think that was before the Carlos Correa news and whatnot, but at the same time, I still think that I like it over, but I'm not going to play it, and here's why. I don't trust the pitching. Bailey over, Dylan Bundy, Griffin Jacks, Joe Ryan, nothing great as far as their pitching, and the same thing goes with their bullpen. There's nothing that I really like. Taylor Rogers is really good against lefties, but that's about it. The lineup can smash though, and I think that this is one of those teams that we're going to be playing overs a lot. I think that Correa and Buxton and Polanco and Kepler and Sano, all boppers. They might strike out, but at the same time, if they go yard, they go yard. So the reason that Carlos Correa did go there is because he liked the way that he could see the ball, the hitter's backdrop, the hitter's eye. He made that very clear. That was one of the reasons. So I think that he's going to stick around for a year or two and put up some good stats. So I'm definitely liking Carlos Correa this year in fantasy. And I did play Carlos Correa's home run prop over. I want to say it was like 25, 26, 27, whatever. I'm saying Carlos Correa hits 30 bombs this year. We'll see what happens. First team I'm taking a look at is the Baltimore Orioles. DraftKings has their season win total set at 62.5. Nothing really to love about this team. One starting pitcher that I can somewhat trust is John Means. As far as the bats go, Trey Mancini, he beat cancer. He's a stud. I don't know how much I like him in fantasy though. Cedric Mullins, running around in center field, he can be a stud. I don't know how much I like him in fantasy, but if you get him later on in rounds, he might be worth a little bit of value, especially with that speed that he possesses. One guy I do like on this team, Ryan Mountcastle, the first baseman. I definitely think that he could put up some value if you get him later on in fantasy rounds. The next team I'm going to take a look at is the Boston Red Sox. DraftKings has their season win total set at 88.5, and to be honest, I don't really know what to think about this Boston Red Sox team. The first thing I usually look at is pitching, and it's so-so for me. Look, Chris Sale came back from injury last year, and he was okay. Didn't play great in playoffs. Not to mention, now you have Nate Eovaldi coming back. The flamethrower, he can be up and down as far as location. Tanner Houck is all right. They got a veteran in Rich Hill. But then take a look at the bullpen. Matt Barnes, all-star level closer last year until he wasn't. He lost his job. I don't know what to expect from him. Garrett Whitlock, I don't know if he's going to be a starter or if he's going to anchor in that bullpen. Josh Taylor, Ryan Brazier, guys that were solid for them last year, but nothing that I love, especially as far as season win totals. So as far as the Red Sox and that 88.5 they have posted, it would be a pass or under for me. The next team I'm going to take a look at is my favorite, the Bronx Bombers, the New York Yankees. DraftKings has their season win total set at 91.5. I had to play it under. I ain't even going to front. Under. Great division that they play in. They have Garrett Cole, who's the ace of all aces as far as pitching. But then after that, Luis Severino's dealt with injuries. He's already dealing with them this spring. I'm not trying to say that he's going to be hurt all year or I'm worried about him. But as far as getting to 93 wins is what it would take, 92 wins is what it would take. That's a lot to ask when you're asking guys like Jordan Montgomery and Jameson Taillon to fill the void. I know that a lot of Yankees fans are Nestor Cortez guys. I'm not sure where I am with him yet. I can't wait to see him in a full year. The bullpen's not bad. The one guy that I really like out of this bullpen, Jonathan Loáisiga, I think he was made to play in New York. Just a flame-throwing stud, and I definitely think that he could have some fantasy value. But as far as the Bronx Bombers and their season win total of 91.5, under. Man, the Tampa Bay Rays, DraftKings has their season win total set at 89.5 wins. It's a hard pass from me. I'm not going to doubt the Rays. That's not what I do. That's not a profitable thing to do, is doubt this organization. As far as pitching goes, Shane McClanahan and Shane Baz are the two guys that are the young studs that you're going to get the most value out of. As far as fantasy, I'm not really sure. And the reason I say that it has nothing to do with their talent, but just how the Tampa Bay Rays use their pitchers. They had so many different guys. I think they led the majors in guys that got saves for them last year. That just tells me that they're comfortable with multiple guys. And when that's the case, that can really throw off the stats that you get in fantasy to make you win those head-to-head battles. But as far as the season win total, it's a pass for me. They'd have to get to 90 wins. Again, strong division, but it is the Rays. They're always going to compete, but it's a definite pass as far as at 89.5. Uh-oh! Here's an over. The Toronto Blue Jays, baby. DraftKings has their season win total set at 92.5, and I've already played it over. I absolutely love this roster. Why? Let's start with the pitching. Jose Barrios, stud. Again, up and down at times, but there's no question they gave him the big deal because he is a stud. Kevin Gausman's coming over from the Giants with a nasty slider. Coming back into the AL, I think he's going to have some success because a lot of these hitters haven't seen him that much lately. They got Ryu as well and Ross Stripling to eat innings, but the guy that I really like to watch pitch is Alex Manoah. This young kid's got some nasty stuff, and I do think that he's going to be on my fantasy roster. I do think that he's going to have another solid year. And then my favorite part about this team, I say it all the time, it's those big, bad Blue Jay bats, baby. I understand they lost Marcus Semien, but listen to this batting order, man. George Springer, Bo Bichette, Vlad Guerrero, Teoscar Hernandez, Lourdes Gurriel, Gavin Biggio. Oh yeah, and they got Matt Chapman back, who's healthy, who's hitting bombs. He just hit a piss missile today. Over for the Toronto Blue Jays and that 92.5 number.